Hello and welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK. Now you might have noticed that I've been a little bit quiet just recently, and that's sadly because we've had a family bereavement. But last night was the first episode of Gardener's World, and it's time to get back out into the garden and start the gardening season. So I thought I'd start my gardening year with a video for you which recaps and brings you up to speed on all the projects I've been getting on with. So I'm going to grab hold of the camera and walk you around the garden and tell you about all the things I have been doing, because I have been very busy, and all the things I plan on doing in the near future. Hope you enjoy this garden tour. So as usual with my gardening tours, let's start off at the front of the cottage and look at these beautiful daffodils here. Spring is finally upon us, and we've had one or two fake starts I think this year, but I think now we can safely say that it's definitely here. And there are some crows nesting up in my neighbour's chimney there. So this is the parterre at the front of the cottage. I've just fed this. The parterre is an interesting area of my garden. You've got to feed it. Don't forget, there's quite a lot of plants concentrated in a small area here, and they will start to look a bit tired and yellow. Now that's not box blight or box tree caterpillar. It's just evidence that the fat needs feeding. It wants more light. We're coming out of winter, and it could probably do with some food. So I've just put 2 full bottles of slow release plant food all over this parterre and also around the bottom of these trachycarpus. You can see it here in the gravel. You can see those little particles there. That will get wet and dissolve and leach down, and over the course of the year this will burst back into life, and probably by June or July it will probably need pruning again. I don't prune this too often because I don't want it to be too tightly pruned, because I want air to go through it. The air helps to prevent box blight, which is a fungus. I've started to bring some pots out from hibernation, and as we can see here, this is a lily from last year and it's already starting to grow. And on the table here, I've just been sent these solar powered pond lights, I should say. So I'm going to do a video on those soon. I'm letting them charge up as we speak. Down into the gravel border, or the gravel bed, the arid bed, I've just planted my hydrangea Annabelles here, and happily I was looking the other day, and I'll see if I can find it now. They're starting to show signs of growth. Can you see down near my finger there? There's a little bud. Prune them right back. These, in about 6 months' time, will be 3 feet high and full of those beautiful white flowers. Here is my bird feeder with the camera. I've had some wonderful footage from that camera. That again is solar powered. And I've put these bird feeders in front here. These are supposed to be squirrel proof. And I've got some wonderful video on my channel of the squirrel trying to get in there. A lot of the plants in the arid bed are hardy, and they've come through the winter very well, I think. This is an olive which I rescued, but it had been in a pot for too long, so I've just planted it, I should say, into the ground. In about a month's time, I'm going to give that a good prune. And don't worry, it will flourish. It will come back to life now that it's got its feet in the ground. Just bought this, a little tub or planter, and I've got in my garage a solar pond pump. So I'm going to make a little bubbling water feature there. That's what that's all about. Okay, right. Let's move around to the side of the cottage. Now this used to be my Mediterranean scented border. It was full of rosemary and lavender. But I had to put a cable in here because I'm converting the garage. And in doing so, I covered it in soil and killed all the plants. So as you can see there, the lavender and the rosemary, I don't think they're going to come back. So I need an idea for this. I've got a few ideas. I might make a wildflower border or a rose garden. That's another project for this year. These are my 4 standard olives. And look at this. This one's doing really well. This one's doing really well. But these 2 here seem to be struggling a little bit. But again, not to worry. Don't panic. If your olives do this at the end of winter, it's been a difficult time for them. So in about a month's time, again, that will have a good prune. I'll put some top dress down there and feed it. And those, I guarantee, those two there will spring back into life just like those two. Bamboo hedge here. Now, it's wonderful, that bamboo hedge. I'll show you behind there in a moment. But these two olive trees tend to blend in. So it's my objective now to build a black fence along the line of the bottom of those bamboos, which will make these olive trees pop or stand out. And then on the other side of that fence, I'm going to strip all the stalks of the bamboo of leaves, so that when we come inside here, we will see verticals, just verticals of bamboo, and it will leave leaves across the top, and that will have a black backdrop, a black fence. Okay, so in here we have some grasses, miscanthus. I put those in there to try and cover this wall, but it's not been a success because the grasses are too big for these small planters. So I'm going to do a different thing here this year. I'm going to make a green wall. I'm going to cover that area of the wall there. My objective really is to hide those cables and pipes and these drains. So I'm going to cover that wall there in a similar type of structure to this fence, horizontal lats. And I'm going to make a green wall. So hanging on there, on this shady wall, I'm going to have lots of pots of ferns. So that will be a green wall. Here is my tree fern garden. The tree ferns are still protected, but we're very nearly at the stage where we can remove that protection. I have cut off all the fronds because they were just looking dead and ugly. And this is my fernery. It needs a good sweep. But again, in a month's time, you'll see in one of my update videos that this will spring back into life. This will be full of hostas and arum lilies and ferns. And that will be a lovely, cool, shady area of my garden all summer long. The thatch is looking a bit ropey. In 12 months' time, I'm going to have to get the thatcher in and have the whole roof done. And I'll need to book him now because he's booked 12 months in advance. This is my exotic tropical jungle border. As you can see, it's not looking at its best, but I've got some good news. Over here, the tetrapanax, I protected the trunk and it's survived, and I've got some green growth coming from the top. So I've saved the height of that plant, and it will have a lovely big tetrapanax just there. There's lots of cannas in here and some colocasia pink china there, yet to show themselves, but I know they're there under the ground. And here is my collection of green bananas, hardy green bananas, Musa Basju. I'm going to take the covers off those today, and you'll see that in another video. I wrap them because, again, like the tetrapanax, I want to keep the height. I want it to start growing from the top. The hardy green banana, if it gets too frostbitten, will go squelchy and die down to the ground, and it will come back from the ground. But I want it to grow from up here, so that by the end of the summer, I'll have lots of green leaves up at the top. I've covered it at the end of the year last year. We pruned everything back and just dropped all the cuttings on top to give some protection. That will be removed soon, and I will soon go next door and get some horse manure from my neighbour's ponies. Look at this, the passion flower. Yes, it's not looking great, but I'm going to leave it. And then in a short while, maybe a couple of weeks, I'm going to cut into a few of these vines and see if there's any life still in them, and see how far back I have to go before I get to life. And then, of course, don't worry, because nature being a powerful force, this wall once again, will be covered in passion flower. Right, let me show you what's been taking up a great deal of my time over the last few months. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I'm converting that into an annex for people to come and stay in. I only have one bedroom in the cottage. It's a semi-that, so I only have half of it. I only have one bedroom. There's nowhere for guests to come and stay, so I've got planning permission to convert this. I'm doing it all on YouTube. You can see the videos. Lots of insulation, bifold doors, a bathroom downstairs, a bedroom upstairs. I've got to put a new staircase in. And because I'm putting a new bathroom at the back, I also have to put new drains in. So you can see here, I'm on with that. I've dug a 2-foot trench that goes all the way along the side there to the back. That's where the drains are going to come out. And the drains will come down here into that inspection chamber, turn the corner, and then go in here into my septic tank, which then drains away into the soakaway. Soakaway another thing that's been taking a lot of my time. The original soakaway was underneath the garage just here. Under the general binding rules, by law I'm allowed to replace it, and it failed. The septic tank kept filling up, so I've had to put a new soakaway drainage field in. Again, I've done it myself, I've got the footage, and there will be a video soon, but all the water that runs off my septic tank over there now comes down here and drains away into a loop here. That was an interesting project. Let's wander down to the wildlife pond. My big project from 18 months ago, and last year had frogs, toads and newts, and I decided it was a little bit exposed, so I got my neighbour and his mini digger to come round, and he helped me dig these 3 trenches here. These are going to be moats. In other words, new ponds that go in a kind of a ring around the edge of my wildlife pond. Another neighbour has given me a load of carpet, which is why that's there. These will be finished this year, mark my words. I'm not going to let that get delayed anymore. These will all grow up into quite substantial hedges, so that this corner, this wildlife corner, starts to feel enclosed. There's an interesting development down here, because down here in this corner I've discovered a Victorian dump. Basically, in the old days they didn't have refuse collectors. They used to dig pits and bury things in the garden, so down there there's a collection of bottles and clay pots. So before I do this pond, I'm going to excavate that, because some of those bottles, I've learned, might be valuable. A project very soon is going to be pruning the buddleias. Do it every year at this time of year, bring them right back, and the effect that has is it keeps the blossoms at about this height where you can smell them. We're still waiting for frogs, toads and newts to emerge from hibernation. You might be able to hear a hen clucking, because just through that hedge there is my neighbour's hen house, and he's got some hens in his hen house at the moment, so that's why you can hear a hen clucking. So there's the wildlife pond. Now eventually, and incidentally this is my wildflower meadow here, it looks awful at the moment, but that's nature. All the seeds from last year which have scattered are starting to grow, and you can see if you get up close there's evidence of new plants coming up here. Eventually there's going to be steps up here that go round the back of that tree, and there's going to be a viewing platform in that corner. And also eventually, because I've got lots of plants, there's going to be a diagonal path that comes from this corner and heads all the way over in that direction. So it'll be a lovely line of sight through the centre of the wildlife pond. Now I'm almost ashamed to show you this, but I'm going to take you into the compound now. Everywhere is a little bit untidy at the moment. We've been very busy with some family business, as I've already explained, and I've been very busy with that, and my day job has also been very busy, so everywhere's just a little bit untidy. But this is a reset, and it's a recap, and it's a restart. But let me show you something exciting, something wonderful that I always look forward to at this time of year. This is my asparagus raised bed, and look, a sure sign that spring is with us. The asparagus is starting to sprout. Can you see it just there? I'm hoping that shows up. This bed has got, I think, 6 crowns of asparagus in it, and they will produce asparagus for the next 20 years. So asparagus for life. My other raised bed, which I put veg in last year, needs renewing, needs replanting, needs reseeding. But the interesting thing is, the chard here, the chard is a perennial crop, so I can keep taking leaves off the chard. I've got red chard and white chard and silver chard, and also the same is true of the kale at the back there. So here we go again. I'm almost ashamed to show you this because it's a bit of an untidy mess. Fortunately, it's all out of sight from the lane where people walk past. And again, at the back of the garage, you can see here, I've dug this trench here because the electric cable's coming round here and going through the wall, and the water is also going in through the wall. Right, we'll just have a quick peep up the side of here so that you can see the extent of the trench digging I've been doing. As you can see there, it goes all the way down there to the septic tank. Would you like to see inside the garage? And I can show you the insulation that I've been getting on with. I've almost finished the insulation upstairs in the garage, and I've now moved on to the insulation downstairs. Right, so as I've already mentioned, By the way, the outside is going to be clad in timber. It's going to have larch or cedar cladding, so it looked like a little log cabin. These two garage doors will be removed and they will be replaced with black aluminium bifold doors. Moving inside, the floor will have 6 inches of insulation on it, and the walls will also have 6 inches of insulation all the way around. I've got to replace the staircase because that's not compliant. If you've seen my garage conversion videos, you'll know all this, so I will be repeating myself. I do apologise. There are my agapanthus safely tucked away inside, and I bought these plant lights, can you see, to light up these Cycas revoluta. That plant had to come in as well, as 2 of them there, and so I've got some plant lights just to give them the UV or whatever it is that they need. I can't remember the exact type of light. There's another agapanthus. Right, up here you can see this is going to be a loft bedroom, and this has all been fully insulated. Believe it or not, there's 6 inches of insulation here. I'll show it to you now actually. There's 120 mil there and another 40 mil behind the plasterboard, so we've got lots of insulation here. And here are some of my gardening experiments, which you may have seen if you follow my channel. There's an aloe vera which I divided. I've got 6 lovely plants there now. And these are the agaves from the front garden, which seem to have died, but there's a heat mat underneath there, and they got another light, and they seem to be coming back into life. You can probably see evidence of new growth coming up from under the ground here. So fingers crossed on that. Eventually that will be a bedroom window looking out over the garden. Right, let's go back outside and I will come back on camera and say goodbye for now. So there you go, a spring tour and update. A lot going on both the garage conversion and in the garden, and a lot planned for this year. Again, apologies I've not been around very much, but I'm back again and it's time to start work. So I will see you very soon for some more house and garden adventures. Bye for now.